Welcome back and thank you very much. Welcome to the big issue here on TV3Newday. If it's your birthday today, happy birthday to you. And many thanks indeed to Grandpa Clothing in Dansoman for my outfit this morning. And let's get straight to the newspaper headlines this morning. We'll start off with the BNFT, which talks about the fact that the Ghanaian Economic Forum 2021 strong homegrown policies aided economy's recovery, according to Dr. Addison, who is governor of the Bank of Ghana. Also, government to list 15 SOEs on GSE to raise 2 billion Ghana cedis, plus lack of database for borrowers hampering lending, according to Ken Thompson of Delex Finance. Let's check out what's on the next newspaper there. Daily Guide is our next one. It says, leave stage, Kojo Bonsu tells Mahama and Commander Sugar debate. Mahama built roof before foundation. Nana fires. Also, NPP twisted NDC arms in Hohoi. The next one will be the BNFT. They find a newspaper, I beg your pardon. Ghana School of Law admissions agreed 499 candidates appealed to president. Also, soldiers demanded 50,000 Ghana cedis to embark on coup, according to a witness, and scrap nuisance taxes on petroleum products to stabilize fuel prices, the NDC says. Also, GMPC ARCA deal offers good value, due diligence-driven valuation to inform actual purchase price, Dr. Sapon. And sugar factory without sugarcane plantation is bad planning, Akufo-Addo says so. The Ghanaian Times is next. It says, Commander Sugar Factory work starts next year. President, 15 QNet officials remanded in police custody in Kofridia. Ghana Health Service alarmed at increase in hypertension, diabetes cases or diseases in the Greater Accra region. Also adopt policy guideline for recruitment of school feeding caterers, CAG, to government. That's what we have there by way of front page stories. Let me find out one, the Daily Statement. We have the Daily Graphic as well. Okay, let's check out what's on the front page of the Daily Graphic. And it says, sword cutting for Cape Coast Airport next year. Compulsory towing policy to come on stream, and cocoa farmers' pension starts this month. Unemployment, biggest challenge, needs swift action, according to the TUC. Those are what we have on the front pages of our dailies this morning. And a quick happy birthday to Nana Percy Brown, Nana Yao Ado. Today is your birthday, or yesterday was your birthday. You school at the Mana Montessori School, North Kanishi. This is from your father, Eric Owusu-Addo. He's a teacher somewhere in the Eastern region, a.k.a. Sir Nkatia, that's his name. My guest this morning, Malik Basintali, is the Savannah Regional Communications Officer of the NDC. He joins me here this morning, along with Mr. Pius Hajide. He is the boss at the National Youth Authority. Good morning, gentlemen, and thank you very much for your time.
Good morning.
Good morning, Johnny.
Yesterday it rained. Were you beaten by the rain?
No, not at the time.
You were not. Malik?
Well, I spent it on the motorway.
Okay.
I was returning from Tema, so there was huge traffic. I think there was a mini accident, there where cars somersaulted. And so it caused a lot of traffic there. I spent it. The portions of the motorway got so wet that you would have to only take your time, because you end up splashing water on others and even damaging your car bonnets. So yes, I spent it on the road.
On the road.
Cool, yes.
Pius, I know you have a program coming up. Is it today? No, tomorrow, right? Tomorrow and
yes,
up until Friday.
The Youth Connect Summit.
Okay.
You're right.
What is it?
Ghana is hosting many of the most influential opinion shapers, policymakers, and young people across the continent from tomorrow, Wednesday, the 20th to the 22nd, under the proud auspices of His Excellency, the President, the government, and the people of Ghana. We are hosting, for instance, the President of Rwanda, Paul Kagame. He's hopefully arriving today. We are hosting the Assistant Administrator of the UNDP responsible for Africa, Madame Eziokonna Ahuna, and a host of other persons across the continent. The idea is to begin to identify the opportunities that the AFCA Secretariat that we are hosting, the agreement, the opportunities that the agreement has for the youth of Ghana, to identify those opportunities and how we can leverage those. And so we are excited at the National Youth Authority that we are hosting the biggest and most influential gathering of youth across the continent. And Johnny, you know that it is not many times that you get two presidents, and these are presidents with huge respect and following in Africa. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and President Paul Kagame gracing your function. So we are excited, and we want to encourage the youth of Ghana. And I'm sure that in one of the issues we'll be talking about how to create employment for the youth, how to create opportunities for the youth. We think that this is one of the critical interventions towards job creation and resolving the challenges of the youth.
Okay, let's stay with that. Yesterday, the NDC held a press conference bemoaning the cost of living and also talking about fuel prices and many other things. Take a snap at it. When we come back into the studio, I'll ask Malik why they keep talking about the same set of things when government has consistently told them that the COVID-19 pandemic has hit everybody, and we're not trying to re-strategize and build and work at it. Take a listen to the NDC's presser from yesterday.
According to the NDC, the current high fuel prices is a direct result of the bad governance of the Akufo-Addo-led NPP administration. For them, the future is a gloomy one for the average Ghanaian family.
The 2-month suspension or zero rating of the stabilization and recovery levy of 14 pesos and 16 pesos per litre of diesel and petrol respectively is wholly inadequate, insufficient, and cannot bring about any significant reduction in the current prices of fuel products. In fact, it is an insult to the sensibilities of suffering Ghanaians. This picture looks scary for many Ghanaian families and households, as it has become a constant struggle for many Ghanaians to afford 3 square meals a day.
They want all taxes on petroleum products in the 2021 budget scrapped.
We therefore wish to call on the Akufo-Addo Bawumia NPP government to, as a matter of urgency, scrap the special petroleum tax of 46 pesos on a litre of diesel and petrol. In the same vein, we call on government to scrap the newly introduced taxes on fuel products, such as the energy sector levies of 20 pesos on a litre of diesel and petrol, and the new sanitation levy, boiler tax, of 10 pesos on a litre of diesel and petrol, as saying is totally needless.
For the NDC, a failure to heed the advice will only result in higher cost of living.
That's the NDC's National Communications Officer, Sami Jemfi, and happy birthday to Abbas Amogopo in Offense. So also, if it's your birthday, happy birthday to you. And thanks to Grandpa Clothing in Dansoman for my outfit, 020-985-5696. Malik, so why are you hitting the same drum when the government has told you what the situation is, that COVID-19 has affected everybody, we're trying to bounce back, it will take some time, but we're on the right course. And then you keep talking about the same set of things.
Well, Johnny, good morning to the Ghanaian populace out there. Let me commend lawyer Sami Jemfi for a yeoman's job yesterday. I mean, he clearly stated, I mean, in real terms, what actually the current situation in the country was. And I think that it resonated well with a lot of people, because I've consistently said that when you get to the pump, you are not asked of your party card. You are not asked whether you are NPP, NDC, or CPP, or what have you. You are not also asked whether you're media personnel. You buy what is served at the pump. And I mean, with whatever resources you have is the quantity that's attributed to you. And so I think there's a call in the right direction. You see, I feel sad today. I mean, very regrettably unfortunate that we have to discuss, I mean, the high rise of petroleum prices under the watch of a man. In fact, the vice president who woke up on the 1st of May, 2015, to say that the cost of petroleum at that time was so high. And so, I mean, the government of the day was so insensitive, and he felt very sad for the Ghanaian populace. That's in person of Dr. Bawumia. I also feel sad that we would have to discuss it right under the watch of a president who said he saw clearly the high rises, I mean, prices of petroleum prices in this country as of 2016 and felt very sad. In fact, attributed a lot to the incompetence by then, so-called, as they claimed, of the then government, and then called for a reduction in petroleum prices. In fact, I listened to President Akufo-Addo clearly yesterday, and I kept watching some of his videos, and I mean, I wasn't surprised because I know the caliber of person he is. I know the caliber of person Dr. Bawumia is. They say one thing and do another. President Akufo-Addo Ateshi promised them, told the drivers that upon assumption of office, they were going to reduce fuel prices drastically. And so yesterday's presser was on three folds. The first one had to do with the lies. I mean, clear lies. In real terms, there's no way you can qualify it than to say they were clear lies. Said, peddled by the then, Akufo-Addo, the Akufo-Addo administration, then in opposition, candidate Akufo-Addo, and then vice president candidate, Dr. Bawumia. Upon assumption of office, you see them doing a different thing. The second point had to do with the high rise in taxes and the insensitivity of the current administration.
Explain.
I'll explain that. I'll go into details. And the third aspect had to do with the alternatives we set out to give them. Should we be a very bad opposition, we'd keep all these alternatives to ourselves, waiting to assume office and then, start to implement them in reducing fuel prices. But for the sake of the Ghanaian populace, and because we know clearly that everybody is going through these challenges, we set out to roll out these alternatives to them and hoping that they adopt them. I'm proud that Pius is on this panel, and I'm sure it will get to the ear of the president. Now, with regards to the taxes, look, I have said that in real terms, Krumayeshe, everybody is suffering with the current crisis in the country now. Fuel, a gallon of fuel that used to go for 21 cedis, just in 2020, as of today, is going for 31 Ghana cedis. The NDC left a gallon of fuel at about 15.59 cedis. Let me round it up to 16 cedis before the exit of office. Today, cement that used to sell at 27 cedis under the watch of the NDC goes for 52 Ghana cedis, and in some cases 56 Ghana cedis as far as Bunkrugu Yoyo. Iron rods, a ton of iron rods that used to go for about 2,800, today goes for about 5,600 in the market. Look, a crate of eggs that used to go for about 12 Ghana cedis goes for a whooping rate of 30 Ghana cedis in the market. I can go on and on and on. And these are the hardships the Ghanaian people have been subjected to. And you see, as we speak this morning, there's a driver who has parked his vehicle all because he cannot afford the increment in fuel prices.
Which driver is that?
There are people out there. You can take your cameraman on to the roads and question people randomly. There are people who can no longer work. Look, myself, there was a day I fueled my car with about 400 cedis. I took it to Tamale. I got to Tamale. I spent 3 days. I had to fuel my car with about 520 cedis in order to get back to Accra, all because of an abrupt increment. In 1 week alone, we've had about 3 increments of fuel prices. From January till now, we've had close to 9 increments in fuel prices.
But the global fuel prices also have an influence.
I'll explain that, don't worry. Government has a portion to influence. The international communities or whatever in the international markets also have a portion to influence. Ask yourself, what has Akufo-Addo influenced? Akufo-Addo has increased the bust margin. President Akufo-Addo has increased the bust margin from a whooping 3 pesos to 9 pesos. President Akufo-Addo has increased the fuel market margin from a whooping 3 pesos to 5 pesos. President Akufo-Addo has increased and introduced what we call a bola tax on petroleum prices. President Akufo-Addo has increased what we call the NHIL tax on petroleum prices. President Akufo-Addo has increased what we call the ESLA levy to 20 pesos on petroleum products, and I've extended it from 5 years to 15 years.
But you're calling for roads, you're calling for schools, you're calling for hospitals. Where do you propose that we get the monies from? Not from the taxes?
We could have kept down or stopped the rental of a private jet and used that money to construct roads in my village. It's possible to do that. And so I'll get there. President Akufo-Addo has included all these taxes on our petroleum prices, deliberately and insensibly. At the end of the day, today, when you compound all this cost buildup, you arrive at the conclusion that it is deliberate on the side of the government to subject the Ghanaian populace to excruciating hardships and poverty.
The government's explanation doesn't add up to you? Because they're telling you that COVID-19 has hit us. So you would have to excuse them and allow for space.
Look, there is a tax called the Special Petroleum Tax. It was introduced somewhere in 2016. And the main purpose of that tax, Johnny, was to cushion the situation as of that time, because crude oil exports at that time were very low and went below the budgetary estimated price. In fact, at that time, crude oil was about $40 per barrel. The estimated budgetary expenditure on that was about $54. So that tax was introduced. And immediately fuel prices rose in the international markets. We were supposed to take that off. As of 2018, 2019, the crude oil export prices rose to about $80 per barrel. What is that tax still doing on the cost build-up? Till date, that tax is still found on the levies, when that tax should have been taken off our cost build-up. And so what explanation and what justification do you have to that? The stabilization fund levy, for example, was introduced. And I hear them mention the deregulation and what have you. Was introduced to cushion the economy anytime we went into petroleum crisis. Now, if you compound all those monies and you get to a point where you have so much revenue coming in from your petroleum corridors, what do? You implement that tax, right? And you use it to cushion the Ghanaian citizenry. As of today, petroleum prices in the second quarter of 2021, petroleum prices, we had a 60% increment in revenues. Because definitely that before 2016, some of our mining fields and what have you, oil mining fields were in court. We won them. About 3 of them came on board. And today they are extracting oil from them. Petroleum reserves, as of the time of the NDC, that could accrue about 123 million. Today accrues in billions and billions in excess. And so clearly, there is revenue from our petroleum corridors. There is money coming in. There is money sitting somewhere in the stabilization fund that's supposed to be used to cushion us. But President Akufo-Addo decides that no, I won't use all these things. I would rather compound and increase the taxes so that petroleum prices go up, and then we push it to the drivers and the consumer. And you see,
that's so simplistic to say, isn't it?
I have stated the components of our price build-up, and I have given you avenues where we could temper with. In fact, as of today, there's a bola tax on petroleum prices. Tell me what that bola tax is being used for. To convey bola, to clean our streets. Clearly, you sit down and you ask yourself why these things are still on the cost build-up. As of today, I have stated clearly the special petroleum tax. What is this still doing there? Because petroleum reserves and the crude oil export prices are high today at over $80 per barrel. So what is that component still doing there? As of today, look, the bust margin has been increased from 3 pesos to 9 pesos. Tell me the new bus sites that have been kept in place. Tell me the cleansing and what have you that has been going on. At the
and you say all these are affecting the cost of living of Ghanaians? Because
these are in Ghana cedis. These are in monetary terms. These are build-ups that add on to our petroleum components. If you take off the 10 pesos bola tax on petroleum reserves, and you take off the money of on the special petroleum tax, and then you implement and put our stabilization levy into use at this particular point in time, people will be buying fuel at lower rates, and then we enjoy it for some time, at least to a point in time where we also feel that, yes, at this point in time, let us increase prices, and then we all go through it. Because look, Johnny, it is not only President Akufo-Addo who was affected by COVID-19. We felt the impact because we were on the grounds. Right after it, the man who led us into it, you see him flying private jets all around, bathing in the skies, whining and dining, living like an Arabian king. Watching cinema, relaxing and going for meetings. And then at the end of the day, he comes to tell us that we should take the burden because we've just left a period of COVID-19.
I hear you.
It's clearly not unfair to the Ghanaian citizens. And so, look, I feel that as of now, President Akufo-Addo is deliberately pinching the Ghanaian populace. Dr. Bawumia is deliberately pushing on the burden to the Ghanaian populace. And probably they feel that, yes, this is my last term in office, and so I do not give a damn about the Ghanaian populace any longer.
Thank you. Pius, so the NDC clearly is not happy about all the efforts that the government is putting in place. They say you are overtaxing the people and you are not showing the people compassion and empathy. And they say you are not doing enough. Is that the case?
Well, thank you very much, Johnny. Good morning to you, my colleague, and to the cherished viewers of TV3. But Johnny, are you surprised? We shouldn't be. What do you expect from a political party that is desperate to win power for the sake of it? The history of the NDC is well known. We are discussing petroleum prices, the whole concept of deregulation. The genesis is from the NDC. And what is the concept of deregulation of the petroleum sector? It is that when the world market forces determine the price, you should respond in the manner in which the world market forces are acting. That is the whole idea. And they brought deregulation. today they have made more than 360 to now complain about the implementation of their own vision. This is a political party that is not consistent even in their own articulation of their vision. Because at the end of the day, as far as the NDC is concerned, as far as Mr. Mahama is concerned, as far as my brother Sami Jemfi is concerned, it is about do anything, say anything, so that you get into power. But my pain is that if the NDC even benefited the people of Ghana when they are in power, and they have been in power for the longest of time, they have been in power. If they had impacted meaningfully, or if they do impact meaningfully the lives of Ghanaians, and that is why they want to come back to power, I could even indulge them. But the fact is that the history of the NDC is that anytime they tell these lies, and you can make reference to the confessions that they make these days about, for instance, their former regional chairman of the Central Region, who has publicly confessed that they used to plot to tell lies, and they are keeping in that trend as well. If they tell those lies and they get back into power, what they do is to damage the Ghanaian economy and deny the people of Ghana any opportunities. But I'll focus on the issue of fuel prices.
Fuel prices, right.
Johnny, you see, I believe that as young people, we must begin to turn around the narrative and do politics better.
How?
Doing politics better means that, yes, you can be critical of the government, but you can offer alternatives. You can hold the governments accountable. But it also means that you are truthful in your analysis. It also means that doing politics better means that when something good is happening, you can even be in opposition and admit that at least something is happening. Doing politics better means that, Johnny, today, the last time I heard, and I followed football I followed football quite closely. We were playing the European Championships in 2021, and we're calling it Euro 2020. Just recently, the world organized the Olympic Games. We were playing the Olympic Games in 2021, but we were referring to it as the Olympics Games of 2020. Johnny, which normal human being does that? Within which normal times could that happen? Today, we walk around the streets with coverings on our mouths and our noses. Which normal human being does that? Unless for maybe a medical doctor on the operating table. Johnny, are you aware of any normal human being who walks around town with a covering on his nose and face? But today we do that. So to any honest analyzer, to any honest Ghanaian, any honest individual, the first admission is that we are not in normal times. And so when people try to underrate the impact of COVID-19, I get scandalized. It tells you that these are people who are not honest to themselves. They are working, I'll deal with it.
But how do you put the two together? I mean, I agree, COVID-19 has hit us. But then the NPA has also appealed to the president. The president has granted that come some 2 months, we will have some reliefs on our petroleum prices, both on LPG and on diesel and on petrol. These are some of the things he's talking about. That's the taxes on the petroleum products are too many. For example, a kilogram of LPG has 18 pesos on it, which would affect the chop bar seller, the kenke seller, all of them. And those are the things they're talking about. That if you can take some off in 2 months, which they say is woefully inadequate, then you clearly can do more for the people.
Johnny, my brother sat here and spoke about the prices of iron rods, prices of
cement,
this and that.
Egg,
That is
bread.
why I am suggesting to you that any honest analyst will admit that we are not in normal times.
Okay.
And because we are not in normal times, supply chains have been interrupted, and it has affected the pricing of things generally. Just the other day, I was watching CNN. Thousands of containers are locked up in ports across the world. Supply chain mechanisms and dynamics have been interrupted. It has implications on prices. So if you are not an honest interrogator of the issues, you will come to say that simplistically the price yesterday was 1 cedi and today it is 1 cedi 50 pesos. When you know too well that yesterday you were not wearing a mask on your nose when you were walking, but today you do. And I'm surprised that the NDC has the guts and they feel they have the moral authority to talk to the people of Ghana about price increases. The fuel that we are talking about, it was selling at around 3 cedis by the time they took over. Mr. Mahama and Co. took over. From 3 cedis, where was it when Akufo-Addo took over? You do the discounting and see within the 5 years that the NDC was in power, compare it to the first 5 years of this MPP, and you will see in percentage terms who has increased fuel the most.
They say this year alone you have done 9 increases.
But I'm saying that if you set up a deregulated environment, we have to respond. Why are they saying that we should not act according to the law? Is the NDC now suggesting that we should not act according to the law?
Your exchange rate, your cedi is weak before the dollar.
Yes.
You are importing more finished products, so it will obviously make your burden heavier.
Johnny, you are even going to make the NDC's case worse about exchange rates. Yes, we do agree that as a developing country, to a certain extent, you are the whims and caprices of the superpowers. And so from time to time, there are movements in your exchange rate regime. But comparative analysis between the NPP and the NDC. But that's why, you see, when it's difficult for me to do this comparison because, as far as I'm concerned, the NDC cannot and should not be the benchmark for us in the NPP. But when you give them the opportunity to talk like this, then I am compelled to want to react. You want to talk about the management of the exchange rate regime. Our performance is far, far, far better, even within the limitations of COVID, compared to the NDC. So I admit, nobody
demonstrate it for me.
Johnny, you know the figures.
No, I want you to demonstrate.
You know the figures. You can do the discounting and do the averages. The 4 years that the NDC was in power, or the 8 years that Mr. Mahama was in power. Compare it to, I've looked at the figures, don't come to mind readily, but these are matters of public knowledge. Anybody takes a mobile phone now, can Google, the results are out there. I do admit that indeed times are hard. But it cannot be because of what Malik says that a president and a vice president and a government and a political party have decided to impose hardships. Can you imagine when there was doomsday in this country for 4 long years? Did the NDC decide to impose hardship on the people of Ghana? When fuel prices continued to go up from 3 cedis, by their analogy, are they saying that the NDC chose deliberately to impose hardships on the people of Ghana? I think that we should discuss the fundamental issues.
Which are?
Which are that, for instance, you are saying that there is a Bola tax which should be removed.
Right.
Then you turn around to say that Ghana is filthy and dirty and that we should clean it. I agree with you. If the Bola tax goes off, the price of petrol will come down, at least by some 10 pesos. No problem with that. So yes, we are looking for a downtrend in prices. So then I turn around and ask you, so how then do we take care of the situation on the other side that you have complained about, which is that the filter around, which has health implications, which has implications even on tourism, which can then rake in more revenue. So if you say that you are simplistic and narrow-minded in your view, you look at the pricing of petroleum. So you say we should take out the Bola tax, what you call the Bola tax, okay, the sanitation levy that has been improved. They tell me the Bola tax, no problem. Right. I'm saying that if they say we should take that, the prices will come down 10 pesos or something thereabout. So how do we deal with the problem of the field? Then he goes on and does the simplistic populist politics of a president flying a chartered plane. But Nana Akufo-Addo does not fly chartered planes out of wish. He flies them out of need.
What need? The
need to convey the president of Ghana on long hauls. The need because at the time that we fly these planes, the plane that is available is either technically unfit or unavailable to be used.
If you say we are not in normal times and you are slapping more taxes on the people, and the people do not have the normal channels, like you say, of distribution and all of that, to raking money to be able to fulfill those tax obligations, and so then you keep pressing them, you're not being fair to the people.
Then the more reason why you actually need to take steps to get the people out of the quagmire. You cannot build yourself into an island and not interact with the rest of the world. When the president travels, for instance, the COVID vaccines that we need so that we can reach herd immunity and we can then open up and build back better. When he travels, he brings back results. And I'm saying that the president, when he travels and he has the need to go out and get a private jet, he gets those private jets out of need, not out of wish.
We have 15,000 pounds per hour for a plane. If we aggregate the funds, we could have bought COVID vaccines.
No, you couldn't have.
You couldn't have bought
You couldn't have. You would have. You
couldn't have bought them.
It's the figures that even the fake figures that the NDC throws out cannot buy you the kind of vaccines that Akufo-Addo gets for free when he goes on and he doesn't go necessarily for the vaccines. These are only for, side benefits on his travels. So Johnny,
quickly wrap up for me. We'll have just one minute of rebuttal and we'll move on.
In wrapping up, I've said that the NDC can't speak. The people of Ghana are also speaking. But importantly, we have a president that is sensitive. He admits that because we are not in normal times, even though government needs the revenue, okay, 54% of our tax revenue, the things that he's talking about, we use it to pay Ghanaian workers. 54% of the tax revenue that we make in Ghana, we use to pay Ghanaian workers. They want those revenues to pay Ghanaian workers to be reduced, the NDC. That's what they want. Now, they still want the roads. And we are building the roads, we are building the schools, we are doing free SHS, we are paying allowances, there's no more doom, so there's stability in power. We are doing all of this within the limitations of COVID.
Okay.
The NDC couldn't do that.
Thank you.
But we hear them.
Thank you very much.
Even before this,
I'll give you a 1 minute. I beg you. We need to move on. I'll give you a 1 minute. Take your 1 minute, and I'll give Pies, and we'll move on because we have to switch the topics.
Johnny, I'm totally surprised on the tangent my brother has chosen to, delve on. Clearly, before the introduction of Bola tax, weren't there sanitation workers working on our streets? Weren't there people cleaning our streets and emptying our dustbins on a daily basis? Before the introduction of sanitation tax. I beg your pardon. With the
allow him.
You had all your time. Weren't things like that ongoing in the country? So what has changed? Where from that 10 pesos? What has changed in the country as of today? So clearly that's preposterous, and it's surprising that my brother will keep rigmarole rolling and will not land on a point. I wanted to hear him say that we have reduced petroleum prices. That is what the Ghanaian populace are interested in. This explanation of you did this when you were in power and John Mahama did this. I mean, what has that got to do with the situation as of today? Prices are rising, and you sit here to play an equalization game and say you did this when you were in power. I mean, for crying out loud, let's talk of very serious matters and leave that. Then he jumped on to saying that the deregulation was a law introduced by the NDC and what have you. Let me tell you the components of deregulation. He had a stabilization levy, right? Deregulation clearly stated. In fact, it's the introduction of demand and supply factors in regulating our petroleum products. And so when revenue goes up in the petroleum sector, you need to use it to cushion the situation of the country. Revenue, the second quarter of this year, revenue went up by more than 60%. Ask them. Let him go through the records. I mean, as of last year, we had about 89 million or so. This year, it went up by more than 60%. What did they use that revenue for? Why didn't they use that money to cushion the situation in the country? In fact, again, the barrel price, the crude oil export price, have risen to $80 per barrel, outweighing the minimum demand of the budgetary expectation, because 3 oil fields have been brought on board. What have they used those monies to do? Again, let me remind you, the stabilization levy, the president has said that they have suspended the stabilization levy and what have you, for about 2 months or so. The money in there, in the account, what is it they're doing? What do they understand by stabilization? Stabilization money is supposed to be used when crises are going out of hand. Then you use it to this, and because they have chopped the money, let me land on this. They chopped the money when? They have cleared it. They should account to us. Till date, they are unable to account for the money that have been accrued in it. And Parliament is calling them to come and accrue for it. I'm telling you boldly, they have chopped it. Now let me land on this point. He said the president does not fly out of his own need or whatever. He flies due to some circumstances or whatever. Is it trying to say the president flies because he wants to bath in the sky?
No.
Or the president flies because he wants to watch
presidential duties.
Other presidents going to the same conference that in US flew on common flights, flew on economy. In fact, let's even consider that President Akufo-Addo probably, yes, he's aged and what have you, so he could fly in first class. Let's grant him that. That would have been much better than flying at a price of £17 per hour. And then you spend about 10 million on only flights and bathing, urinating and drinking.
I hear you. Thank you.
Wine in the
Thank
sky.
you very
And
much.
tell us the president
Pius, take your rebuttal.
It's preposterous. And I think
take your rebuttal.
we
He
shouldn't even
took
talk
2
that-
minutes, so I'll give you 2 minutes.
Tony, I'll just land on this.
No, you have landed.
No,
Sorry,
just a second.
sorry, you have landed.
It's a question,
You have
please.
landed.
Please, it's a question.
You can't.
The president
You want to
flew-
ask him a question?
Yeah, no, you answer. The president flew to go and watch Champions League finals between Tottenham Hotspur and Liverpool.
Okay.
Was that a need?
Pius,
of the Ghanaian?
take your 2
You should
minutes.
answer that.
Johnny, the NDC claims that they have alternatives. The NDC, really? This same NDC that ran us into doomsday. This same NDC that could not afford, even when COVID was not there, to pay allowances. This same NDC that introduced a job freeze in the public space. This NDC has alternatives. Really?
I said you have chopped
this
the
is
money.
a joke. This is a joke.
Allow me,
please. I mean, I won't respond to. You asked him for substantiating, and he throws it back to me to substantiate his allegation. The burden of proof lies on him. I'm saying to you that, Johnny, this claim about the president flying, and they use such derogatory words, bath, urinate, and all that, is trivial, is petty, infantile politics. Okay? I'm saying to you that when John Mahama was president, he did not fly chartered flights. When John Mahama was president, he didn't fly chartered flights. He did. They are the records. Ordinary members of parliament flew chartered flights in this country under their watch.
Our parliamentarians are not ordinary.
So I didn't want to even label that was a parliamentarian, but you are going there.
No, you said ordinary members. And I'm saying
yes.
our parliamentarians are not ordinary. They are not ordinary.
You know who I'm talking
I don't know.
About.
But I'm saying our parliamentarians are not ordinary.
But I didn't say ordinary members.
No, you just said ordinary members of parliament. You said
I said ordinary
parliamentarians.
You said ordinary members of parliament.
Well, parliament.
And I'm saying they are not ordinary.
So just correct it and let's move on. That's what they are not
you know,
ordinary.
I can't say ordinary Pius. It's not fair to you.
Well, I thought I said ordinary Ghanaians.
However, even ordinary Ghanaians.
Let's go ahead.
You guys say Ghanaians are ordinary.
What are you talking about? It's English language.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. What populism is this?
Go ahead, please.
As for me, Johnny, you can always say ordinary Pius. I'm very ordinary.
I cannot say that.
I'm very ordinary, and I'm proud to be ordinary. There's no problem. But I'm saying that I said to you that, Johnny, the presidents fly, and I believe when Mahama chartered planes and flew, it was out of need. Unless the NDC says that Mr. Mahama wanted to go and have fun and bath and urinate in the air. Because he also flew private jets.
But you criticize that. You criticize that. You criticize that, so you can't repeat that.
No, Johnny. Criticize what? That the president's security is factored. Who criticized that Mr. Mahama flew? Who? I didn't criticize Mr. Mahama.
The fact that you didn't.
Are you saying it's not true that Mr. Mahama flew a chartered flight?
And bathed in the sky?
Please. I mean, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, on the front page of the Daily Graphic this morning, unemployment's biggest challenge needs swift action, according to the Trades Union Congress. Now, this is a story by Chris Nunu of the Daily Graphic. It says the Trades Union Congress has observed that an estimated 400,000 new entrants to the labor market annually. The unemployment and employment situation remains the greatest challenge in the country. It corroborated the position of the analysts who have said that the joblessness among young people in the country is a time bomb and is bound to explode in a matter of time if nothing immediate is done about it. The labor union said it was for this reason that it had supported direct government intervention that offered jobs, particularly to young people in priority sectors of the economy. Well, so yesterday, Mr. Kenofriatas was been speaking. There's a brief story, and then we'll come back and discuss the unemployment issues. NAPCO guys is ending this month. National service guys are out there. Teachers who are waiting for jobs, doctors and nurses, all of them. We'll come back to have that conversation.
So the future for you with regards to jobs, of course, is the most important thing at this stage. We have gone through a period where most people look for jobs with government, etc. That payroll is full. I can tell you that because we are spending some 60% of our revenue on remunerating some 650,000 people, and that's not sustainable. The question then really is whether UPSA has trained you to be entrepreneurs. And your question will be, where will I get the financing from, etc. But you do and you have the skill set to be able to do what you have to do. Our responsibility as government is to create the environment of macro stability, currency stability, and ensure that you have access to the relevant skills and financing. So this budget that we are going to be doing is going to really focus on the youth and budget. And tomorrow we have a program here looking at what the youth demands and how we can structure the next 2-3 years of the Ghana Obatampa program to ensure that you become your own bosses and you become entrepreneurs. So it's a new world out there where you need to, it's not a factory that is employing 10,000 people, but it's individuals like you employing 2, 3, 4, 5 people to create that energy and engine for our country to transform.
That's our Finance Minister, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, yesterday at the University of Professional Studies here in Accra. Guys, last week we started a bit of this conversation. Now, the Finance Minister says what the guys are saying on the streets, a choke. The government payroll is choked. But the NAPCO guys have also said that they were promised jobs, permanent jobs. Now that we know that the system is choked, what's there for them?
Well, thank you very much, Johnny. This is an important matter. And I invite all of us to look at it dispassionately. I hope that our colleagues in the NDC do not toe their line of doing partisan politics, because youth unemployment is a development issue for us. Youth unemployment is even a security issue for us. And so we must discuss these matters dispassionately. Johnny, the data that I have reviewed, for instance, from the Ghana Living Standards Survey, for instance, are quite clear that the capacity, the absorptive capacity of graduate youth, of youth of any caliber, skilled or unskilled, the absorptive capacity lies with the private sector. As we speak, the private sector has grown from about 90% of the employment of the employable populace to some almost 93% over the last couple of years. The capacity of the state to employ has moved from about 7% to some about 9% there, 8-9% thereabout. And so it is clear from the data that the absorptive capacity lies not with the public sector, but with the private sector. We must understand that clearly, because we are talking just about under 10% of the employable workforce. However, Johnny, it is our view that you need an effective public sector to be able to service an efficient and productive private sector. And that is why over the last couple of years, especially having inherited the legacy of unemployed graduates and so on and so forth, you have to take those necessary interventions to turn an underperforming public sector into an effective public sector by some of these necessary interventions of NAPCO. So they had the Teach Ghana, Heal Ghana, Transform Ghana, Digitize Ghana, Civic Ghana, and so on, to be able to service an efficient and productive private sector. That is why over the last couple of years, you have seen that we have increased employments into the security agencies. Because if you want people to have small, medium, and small and medium scale enterprises, they need to be assured of their security. You need an efficient judicial system, because the investor has to be assured that when I come and there is litigation, I go to the courts, I will get a quick and fair hearing and so on. So you need investments into the public sector, but the idea is not to resolve the challenge of unemployment. The idea is to create an effective public sector so that it can service an efficient and productive.
The president in August 2021, on his tour in the Bono region, and the video is available, he said that 72,000 out of the 79,000 NAPCO beneficiaries were going to be giving public sector jobs. He was very emphatic about that. Now NAPCO ends by the close of this month. The last time you came here, I told you about what Awala told me. He said I should disregard it because he could just be reading something from somewhere. What's their hope? Because they were promised jobs. They were made to get onto a permanent job retention pathway that was created for them. They have had courses in between. They have had certificates for it. They have built 3 years of experience. Now they are told that the public sector is choked, so they have to go into private sector. How?
Well, on the direct matter of NAPCO, I can report to you that the brief that I have is that they will be employed. When the finance minister speaks to graduating students and talks about a public sector wage bill, which is not sustainable, he is talking in context.
Which context?
It does not mean that governments will not recruit people into the nobody, that the state will not recruit anybody into the public space. That cannot be true.
Really?
No, it cannot be.
What did he mean when he said the place is choked?
But I'm saying that he says that it is about the sustainability of the wage bill, that we are paying 60% of tax revenue goes into payment of emoluments. That is unsustainable to any honest observer of and student of economics. It's not sustainable. So when the finance minister speaks to graduating students, he's speaking in broad and contextual terms, and it doesn't mean that from today going, like we say, not a single person will get onto the public payroll. That cannot be. And so I can assure you, speaking directly about NAPCO, because you brought up NAPCO, I can assure you that the brief that I have is that His Excellency the President has made a commitment and given direction that NAPCO people who we promised full employment after will be employed.
What about those who have just finished their national service? The numbers keep ballooning.
But that's what I'm saying, that the employment opportunities, we should not, because the facts are clear and historical. Under 10% of the people who have finished national service and so on will be employed by the public sector.
Right.
The rest, 90-something%, will be employed by the private sector.
Where's
so when you have exactly, now we have, and those are the issues.
Where's the capital?
Exactly, and that is where we are bringing the 100 billion Obatampa. I can report to you that within the short time that I've been in office, I've reviewed documentation that suggests to me that government has invested millions of dollars in young entrepreneurs. Remember?
How much?
The figures don't come.
But you have reviewed the documents.
But I don't have to keep hold of this, Johnny.
If you reviewed the documents and you are sharing information.
No.
It's a blank check I'm giving you.
No. I can't recall the direct figure.
You don't like the blank check?
No, I know that the amounts are big. Like Honorable ICO said, the monies are big. But I'm saying to you that you remember the presidential pitches under the NAIP.
John Kuma.
Yes. We gave monies for startups. Over tens of thousands of individuals. They are doing fine. We are monitoring them. We are following up with them. At the National Youth Authority, for instance, the last time a certain number of young persons, each one of them $5,000 each for their startup businesses. If you go to the GEA, what used to be the collapsed MBSSI, if you go to that agency today,
you just renamed it. It was not collapsed.
It was dead, Johnny. It was completely dead.
Was it not the MBSSI, Miss Yankee, right?
Yes.
Who was giving
before Miss Yankee
the stimulus package?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That it was dead under the NDC. The MBSSI was completely dead. They were not giving support. Everybody knows this. It's a matter of fact. They did not even have offices anymore. Even the headquarters in Accra was in a dilapidated state, completely abandoned and forgotten. We came to add life to that, and we have changed it, refocused it. Now they are distributing, when COVID struck, 600 million Ghana cedis through that vehicle was given to businesses.
Quickly deal with this for me. Teachers, nurses who are hoping, they have sat for their licensure exam, done their national service, they have graduated, they are looking for openings within the Ghana Education Service, the Ghana Health Service, and all of that. What hope is there for them?
The Ghana Education Service, Ministry of Education, Ghana government of the state of Ghana has schools. Those schools, we are offering free SHS. Those school students need to be taught. There would need to be teachers to teach them. So we will recruit teachers. There are hospitals that are government hospitals. We will recruit doctors to work in those hospitals.
With a choked public sector.
But I'm saying to you that. But I'm saying to you.
But if it's choked, how would you be recruiting?
No, Johnny, you are not.
Because the numbers are huge.
The numbers are very huge. But that's what I'm saying to you, that it doesn't mean that there will not be doctors. Because doctors even will go on pension. Teachers will go on pension. When they do, people will have to be re-engaged. We are opening up new hospitals. We are opening up new schools. We will make new recruitments. And that's why I'm saying to you that we have to understand the finance minister within the context of which he speaks. Again, even as a percentage of the revenue, if the revenue grows, then it is no longer a 60% if the revenue performs properly. So we have a responsibility also as citizens to pay our taxes that NDC is saying that we shouldn't pay.
I hear you.
We have a responsibility to pay those taxes, and we have a responsibility, a more important responsibility to expand the tax net, which we have started doing.
I hear you.
If we expand the tax net and we make it more revenue, then of course there's more capacity and opportunity to rope in more people. But Johnny,
but we are not in normal times, so we're going to expand.
Important. Yes, simple things about tax identification numbers have shot up the tax revenues that we are getting.
If you're able to show us, for example, how Revenue Ghana and NAPCO has been able to help us to rake in more money for the informal sector.
You just have to look at the figures of tax that the GRA is collecting.
But that's still the, I'm saying the informal sector.
Okay.
If you're able to show us,
we can break it down.
If you're able to show us and break
I'm sure
down
they can
that,
break it down.
We spend 840 million on NAPCO annually.
Yes.
And that Revenue Ghana has been able to rake in so much from the informal sector.
Yes.
Then you're making a strong case for
I believe that can be done. I don't believe that you are suggesting that the NAPCO beneficiaries were not working.
I'm saying show us.
I agree. I agree. It's a fair demand. I think that can be done. It's easy. But the point that has to be made at the end of the day, Johnny, is that it is about the private sector. Now the question to ask is, what interventions is government unrolling to make sure that the private sector, so the exchange rate, for instance, the interest rate,
let's be fair to Malik.
To be galloping.
Let's be fair to Malik. Let Malik also have a back on there. Malik, so you heard the finance minister. Pius says understand the finance minister in a context, but the NAPCO guys will be giving the jobs as promised and as reiterated by the president not so long ago in August. And that's the fact that it's choked doesn't mean that nobody will be employed. People will still be employed. What do you say?
English is English. And when you speak in clear terms, and we understand in clear terms, it doesn't take Pius to come and try as much as possible to polish it and create so many buts in line with what the finance minister said, just to defend it. I beg your pardon. Clearly, he made it clear. He was clear to the people, the graduates of this country, the unemployed community, that you should forget about public sector because it's choked and invest in the private sector, go into entrepreneurship. Simply, he should go and gather Eno Oforiata. He should call Nana Friduya Oforiata. He should call Akosua Newman. He should call William Oforiata. He should call the two sons of the senior minister who has been appointed deputy CEOs. He should bring Baumier's wife.
No longer that senior minister, or is a senior presidential advisor.
Absolutely, he was then a senior minister, senior presidential advisor. His two sons, who have been appointed, he should summon President Akufo-Addo's daughter, Jen Nkrumah, Jen Fukrumah, I beg your pardon. He should bring them to the table and then tell them to forfeit their public sector jobs that they are enjoying now and go into entrepreneurship, so that we can get space for fresh graduates. Look, you have to control your guests.
Allow him, please.
Clearly, these are people that have choked public sector. The presidency is filled with family and friends, and annually more than 283 million is pushed into the presidency. Public sector is choked with people of government, family and friends, people who have duplicated themselves in family lines and given opportunities, and the taxpayers' money is being used to pay them. Then you come and stand and tell us that public sector is now choked. People should go into private sector. You asked him a very good question. What happens to the nurses? What happens to the teachers? Somebody has written licensure. Somebody has undertaken some medical, examinations and what have you. The person should leave that profession and then go into bread business or go into entrepreneurship. Clearly, you are being unfair to the graduating population. NAPCO and recruits, as of now, are about ending their terms of service. The people are asking you to employ them.
Said they will employ them.
He's not the finance minister. Pius can say what he wants to say. The man in charge. The man, I beg your pardon. You see, and this brings
the president assured them that 72,000 out of 79,000 will be giving the jobs.
This brings me to continuously wonder what they discuss at economic management teams and cabinet meetings. Because the man in charge of giving clearance to pay people is saying that the thing is choked. We cannot pay. There's no enough revenue to, fill that gap. Then Pius comes to sit and say, we'll recruit you. Who is Pius? What certificate of payment does Pius order to people like this? Clearly, the people have deceived the people
He's
of
the
this
boss of
country.
the NYA.
And does he authorize payments?
But Johnny, you said
Is he the one that pays people?
Yeah, the
so
president.
clearly,
The
the finance
bosses.
minister has told us that it is choked.
But the
they
finance
can no
minister
longer
works for the
recruit.
president.
Look, fundamentally, all I am saying is that, look, the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia-led government have failed the graduating population. They have failed to provide jobs to the graduating population. In this particular election, they promised to recruit more than 1 million people. Till date, not a single sector. And I dare ask Pius
I hear you.
to tell me one single avenue
I hear
they
you.
have created that has recruited a single soul
I hear you.
in this country.
I hear you.
One
Thank
single
you.
avenue.
Malik
And so clearly,
Basintali.
the
but
people
he
have
asked me a
squandered
question.
money.
Let
They
me
have
answer.
employed their family members. and today they are telling us
Malik
that
Basintali is the Savannah Regional Communications Officer of the NDC, and also Pius Enam Hajide is the Director at the National Youth Authority. Maybe 2 or 3 messages before we go. Osman Burukusan in Tamale says Ghana should prepare to embrace hardship and frustration in the coming years because President Akufo-Addo and the NPP government have nothing good to offer us. It's only God's intervention that can save us from this government. Prince Henry Kofridia says, good morning. Predict and win. Which one is going to break the 8? A, dollar 6.16 cedis, petrol. B, 6.8. That's, you said, is going to what do you call it? Break the 8. Mr. Pius, please. MBSSI was never died before you came to power. Please stop the lies. The youth are watching. It makes sense saying it wasn't that effective. Truth is key. Please be truthful on the issues of the country and stop the cheap lies. Please tell Pius Ghanaians are disappointed in the MPP government because they are not doing anything, because they promised to do better than the NDC. They failed in total. I blame Pius because he doesn't pay for anything. I'm not sure that's fair to Pius to say he doesn't pay for anything. But thank you very much indeed for coming. Anyway, grateful. A few messages here. Quickly, AJ, forgive me. Let me do this quickly. John sent this one, and he says that we are not in normal times, but the president took a pay raise of about 65% and gave the masses 4%. We are not in normal times, but we could cough up huge sums of money as loans for MPs to buy cars. We are not in normal times, but the president flies in the most luxurious style. Hiding behind COVID is becoming laughable. Good morning, Johnny, and a happy birthday to Rahel Ajwa Dinchra. It's your birthday today from Ata Dinchra family, and also a special birthday to Abbas Amogobo in office. So thank you, General, for coming. There's more here on New Day. We'll have a conversation with another set of our Mentor X candidates. Yesterday saw Ellie, KD, Tele, and also class tests. Today we'll bring you some more conversations. Stay with us. We'll be right back.